The Bloodline are all arguing in the ring when Roman Reigns' music plays and Daddy's home. He comes out and Reigns says it's time to acknowledge the elephant in the room and calls on Jey and Zayn. You want to act like kids? Then we're going to treat you like kids. I'm old, I'm hurt, and I'm working with children. I was waiting for that line. And he wants them to put their problems out on the table and fix this problem now. So Zayn acknowledges the communication breakdown with Jey. And he says, I like Jey, but I feel like you can't stand me. So Zayn apologizes for whatever he has done to upset Jey. He wants to bury the hatchet, and he puts his hand out for a handshake. Jey says, you've got 2 minutes to get that hand out of my face. Jey says, I don't like your hair. I don't like your face. I don't like your shirt. And I don't like you being around my family. How are you part of the bloodline when you aren't blood? You don't belong here. None of them like you, but I'm the only one real enough to say it. You're a fake Uso. Would you shed blood for my family? Will you? Zayn says, the tribal chief wants peace. And Jey, the hothead, yells, I don't give a damn what the tribal chief wants. And the whole audience gasps. And Roman was phenomenal with his reaction. He's just like standing there, and then all of a sudden he is awakened by this disrespect from Jey. Phenomenal reaction. And the crowd, I mean, they had this crowd in the palm of their hands reacting to everything of like, what's going to happen here? It's just like this continual drama. When's it going to explode? And Reigns is upset. Zayn then stands up for Jey, says Jey's been going through a lot lately. He's just not been very Usy. And this was when this segment just went to another level. The crowd starts chanting Usy, and suddenly we had an impromptu match with everyone in this ring with themselves to maintain control, because all of them were trying to keep a straight face, some doing better jobs than others, but it was this was your Jimmy Fallon sketch of all of them just breaking into laughter. Jey just had to put his hands over his face multiple times and look down. I thought it was tremendous. And Reigns, he's like laughing at this. Jimmy's in the background covering his face. Reigns says, is it true? Are you not feeling Usy? And it's just all that Jey can do to try and keep a straight face. And he tells Jey, if you don't figure it out, we're going to make Sami into Sami Uso. And the look on Sami's face, dude, it was Christmas morning for this child. He was so happy at this possibility that he will be rebranded as an Uso, no longer honorary, but by blood. And then Heyman just like announces the segment is over by promoting Crown Jewel and counts down to commercial. I'm just taking a shot in the dark that this segment went way over what it was allotted time-wise, and they had to get out of this segment. But it was, I thought this was just compelling television.
This, like, is going to be an all-time segment. This might have been my.
We said that a few weeks
Bloodline
ago
segment.
when he was like named the honorary Uso with the shirt. Like they just when it's
keep
the
topping
big
themselves.
group together, it's just tremendous television.
There is magic in the chemistry of this group, and in particular in the dynamic between Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, and also with Roman Reigns. They are the central figures here, and they somehow just keep managing to top themselves in ways that you would not expect. First of all, I think just the simple construction of everything leading up to this moment was really well done. You know, of course, like the playing possum bit and the match itself leading to this moment, Jey Uso was on fire. He's been tremendous throughout this entire thing, and him being so passionate and being so angry and being so mean to Sami Zayn with just the incredible like anger on his face. Will you bleed for my family? You know, you don't certainly get the sense that like anybody's going to be laughing when he's about to, say these words. He continues to be tremendous and not slapsticky in any sort of way, even though the others might be. Sami Zayn, of course, is always tremendous. But one of my favorite things, as you mentioned, John, was this look from Roman.
It was amazing.
As he hears that Jey Uso does not care what the tribal chief says. Not just the look that Roman gives, putting his head up as if like, like Papa Bear just discovered Goldilocks sleeping in his bed. It's the camera zoom that goes right into his face. I mean, knowing I think the level of production and blocking that the WWE does for these types of segments, this had to have been planned and worked on multiple times, and for that reason, I think you should credit them for it because it worked out tremendously. The crowd was in the palm of their hands with everything here, between Usi to Sami Uso. It felt unusual to me to see a segment like this that was so much fun. In modern wrestling, usually these speaking segments are so overly rehearsed and they're so cookie cutter. And I think oftentimes people are simply struggling to get the words out to deliver a coherent segment. In this case, not only were they able to do that, they were also able to seemingly just make each other laugh and have fun while trying to maintain their composure on live TV. And that made this segment feel so incredibly organic and alive because it felt like you were watching just people having fun while they're in the midst of telling the story.
But all with this underlying tension that, how many promos do we watch where it just seems like the object is the punchline to get like these forced jokes out to create comedy instead of just letting it naturally play out. And all of this is on this like bedrock of this conflict that this is going to come to some bloody war at the end of this. We just don't know when that's coming and when the shoe will drop, but it's like all of these characters they have their role, they have their their characteristics. You can go person by person and explain who these people are. My test. Tell me what one of these characters does on his day off, and I think you could figure out what all of these guys do on their day off because their characters are defined.
Even Jimmy Uso, who I think might be the most understated of all of them up until this point, but there was that moment at the end of the match where Jimmy Uso stands up to Jey as if to say, "Man, you fucked up," and that is, I think, something that is very interesting. That's waiting to boil, the potential that you have in that dynamic between the two brothers, possibly warring with each other over all of this. The story just has so much going for it between the family dynamics, and now you have these wonderful comedic elements attached to it too. I know Zayn has said that he's been trying to make these guys all corpse throughout these segments, and this was probably the most obvious example we've had of it up until this point. I know that they will want to replicate this and they will do what they can to maybe allow that to happen. Obviously, you run the risk of, it diminishing returns every time it feels forced. But I also feel like this segment today will probably contribute to even more looser, like sort of loosey-oosey feelings here, as they go out and really just try to make each other laugh. I mean, if I was them producing these segments, I would just add an extra 5 minutes of flex to every single one of these shows just to kind of let these guys potentially go a bit longer.
Yeah. Like, honestly, it's a credit to this group that I feel they have done enough with the supporting members of the Bloodline that if Roman wasn't doing Survivor Series, I think you're more than satisfied with a Bloodline team that Roman sends them out to win war games. And I think they would do fine with the build up to that. If you didn't have Roman, like, certainly it's enhanced with Roman, but if for some reason, like, that's not on his schedule, I still feel like it would be strong enough, like, story-wise, just with, like, Sami wanting to be, like, the default captain to lead them and coming at odds with Jey, and then where Jimmy and Sikoa fit in as well. Like, there's so much that you can do with the moving parts.
Agreed. This thing, it doesn't seem like it has any sort of signs of its momentum stopping. It was wonderful tonight.